So for this webinar, Scaling for Success, Strategic Planning and Goal Setting, it's hosted in partnership with the PepsiCo Foundation's Impacto Hispanic Restaurant Accelerator. First, I'm excited to introduce Jesse Iñiguez, co-founder of Back of the Yards Coffee Co., and he is a dedicated entrepreneur deeply rooted in Chicago's South Side. Born to Mexican immigrants and a lifelong resident of Back of the Yards, Jesse has recognized the potential of a coffee business to make significant social impact. Next, we have Lizeth Morales, Peruvian restaurant chain owner with 11 years of experience. She's a former DACA recipient turned successful entrepreneur, and she is fully adept at scaling and operating multiple high-volume locations. And last but certainly not least, we have Pam Rosario. Pam is a Dominican attorney raised in NYC with over a decade of legal experience. She currently specializes in intellectual property and business law, helping small businesses and entrepreneurs get the legal assistance they need to run successful and legally protected endeavors. Can you tell me about a time when you had to make a tough business decision? How did you know what was going to be best for your business, and how did you navigate it to get where you are now?
For us, the pandemic was super tough. We had just started our growth plan. That was one of those things that we really had to shift. Luckily, because we were already embarking on a growth plan, we had our financials together. And I think that's something that I would like to make sure it really resonates with everyone is, know what your financials look like. Lizeth, mentioned that as well. Like, so key. I'm not, finance is not my cup of tea. No pun intended, making coffee is, right? And figuring out how to, grow the business, you need to make sure you have the right people around you. And so luckily, we had our financials together. And so when the PPP came about, we had everything from day one, and we sent it. Unfortunately, even with that, the big bank that we were working with at the time didn't really take in our application until weeks later after the first kind of round had finished. But we started to apply for grants. We started we were looking anywhere and everywhere. We also have an amazing, supporters, people that like what we do. And we were getting emails and messages on Facebook and Instagram, sending us opportunities for different grants. We, just looking at our network, we asked. And so what really kept us alive during this pandemic was these grants. In fact, this project that we've embarked on was open during 2020, there towards the end of 2020, and it's just materializing now. So it took 3 years to really happen, but we applied and we stuck through it, and it's been super hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's been very stressful. Again, making sure that our employees were getting paid was the key thing, because without them, we just would not exist. And through their support and their help and these grants, we're now able to grow and expand and looking to open up a second and third location, our roasting facility.
Wonderful. I love that you just shared something so key, and I think everyone has kind of touched on, is knowing where your finances are and keeping good record. It helped you, so when those opportunities were available, like you said, you were ready. You had what you needed. You were like, I'm submitting my application, and regardless of whether financials were your cup of tea, you were able to have the right people around you to be prepared for that.
I had a client who actually started a food business, over 6 years ago. She had started from her home and then scaled to a food truck, and then had a location, and then two, and it was wonderful. But it wasn't really until 6 years into her business that they decided, her sister was her business partner, to reach out to an attorney and, kind of plug in the legal holes that had been missing. And so kind of the first thing that I did I had a lot of cleaning up to do, as you can imagine. But the first thing we did, like I mentioned, we set goals and we set timelines. But I also needed to manage expectations. I believe that it's never too late to start these things, to start getting protected, to start getting your finances in order. However, there are some things, or there were some things for that business that were a little bit beyond repair. For example, she wanted to trademark her name. She was coming out with a sauce that she wanted to sell nationwide. And so when we went to search for the name in the trademark database, it was taken. And so, sometimes there are strategies that you can employ to try to get around that in the trademark world. But unfortunately, there are just some times where if someone has the same name or a similar name and it's in your same industry, that's something that's very difficult to overcome. And so while that was tough for her, and her business partner, we just had to be creative, and she had to rebrand in the end. Unfortunately, she had to change her name. We made it a marketing event, right? We were her followers, we included them, these are the names we're choosing, vote on them, had a launch for the new name. Like it was a whole event. So it ended up working out. We ended up finding a name that, we cleared, we did a search. It was all good to move forward. But it was very difficult for her because she had to pivot. And it's kind of what Jesse was saying, during COVID, I'm sure you all had to pivot if you were in business then. And throughout your business journey, you are going to have to make some pivots that you were not expecting. It was difficult for them to move away from that name. They'd invested time and money into it, but they knew that if they wanted to grow strategically and be protected, most importantly, they had to move forward with a name that could get some type of trademark protection. And I just want to say, one of the main things that I wanted to share with them was no shame in this, right? Like when you start out, I think we've all said it, you don't know what you don't know. There's no blueprint to this. No one hands you a paper that says, this is how you start a business and these are the things that you need to do. And so you kind of just figure it out on the way because you don't have the funds or the knowledge or the experience. So I didn't want them to feel shamed, but now they're empowered because they have the knowledge, right? Like they know what to do moving forward.
Really quickly, I want to touch, and I think Pamela said something so powerful, and that's the word shame, because I find that a lot of times, especially as small business owners, I know for me when I first started, and I think it comes because our businesses are such our pride and joy. It's almost like a kid, right? And we never want to admit that we're being a bad business owner, quote unquote, or that we don't know something. And I feel a lot of times, I know for me in the past when I first started, it held me back from asking questions or wanting to reach out to another small business owner because I didn't want them to think, how do I not know this, or I should know this. So I think that's so powerful because it's so true. And I would say it's something that I still, even though I have scaled in my businesses, I still work through, and it's okay because it's even me doing this 11 years, I still don't know everything. And I like that. I don't want to know everything because once you think you know everything, then that's when you stop growing.
I want to thank the PepsiCo Foundation and our local partners for the Impacto Hispanic Accelerator. Thank you to all the entrepreneurs out here today. I hope that you found some more information and you feel ready to watch your business thrive.